I've washed my hands. I'm ready to make muffins. I want to begin with my favorite muffin story. A true story. 20 years ago, when I was a beginning teacher, I had the good fortune to have a student in my class whose mother was a chef at a restaurant in Atlanta called the Flying Biscuit. And on our lucky days, she would bring us muffins in the morning, warm muffins from the Flying Biscuit restaurant. And her daughter was little at that time. She was 2.5. And I noticed that whenever her mom came to pick her up, whatever we were doing, she would notice right away, before anybody else was aware that her mom was there. Little Hannah would get up and go to the door to greet her mom. And I thought, now how in the world does she know that? And I watched and I watched. And one day I walked over to her mom and I said, I just don't know how she always knows when you're here. And when I ask her, I say, Hannah, how do you know that your mom is here? And all she'll say is spoons. She says spoons. And her mom said, oh, you know, I carry measuring spoons on my keychain. And she showed me. She had in her pocket a keychain with measuring spoons on it. And little Hannah could hear the measuring spoons rattling when her mom walked through the door. I still remember that story is 20 years old. So this recipe is not one of her recipes. This is one of our family favorites, banana chocolate chip muffins. The ingredients are flour, sugar, oil, 2 eggs, milk, baking powder, salt, chocolate chips, and ripe bananas. You'll notice these are not yet overripe. They're not black, but they have brown spots on them. So you could still eat these, but most folks who like bananas prefer them a little less ripe. So we're going to make good use of these today. The first thing that we're going to do is I have 4 little ones. You could use 3 large bananas, depending on the size that you have in your home. I have a pastry masher. You could also use forks, or you could use a potato masher if you have one, or spoons. This works well for me, but you could use whatever you have in your home. So we're going to put these in my smaller bowl and mash. This is what's fun about banana muffins and banana bread, the mashing part. All right, this has got a yucky spot on it, so I'm just going to take that off. We don't want that. Okay. This recipe will make 18 medium-sized muffins, 24 small muffins, or 1 large loaf of bread. This recipe will work just fine for a loaf of bread if that's your preference. And I'm a muffin nut. I like muffins. Okay, I think that's about good enough. Still lumpy. You don't want it to be really liquid, but mashed up. 1 cup, I'm going to put liquid ingredients in this bowl and dry ingredients in this bowl. So I have 1 cup of milk in with the bananas. I'm actually going to use this 2 eggs. Okay. 1/2 cup oil. I use canola. Other kinds will work fine, but the oils that are not flavored are preferable. We're almost out of oil in my family. All right, I'll wait to do that. 3 cups of flour. So 1 cup measuring. 1, 2, 1/2 cup of sugar. I got my other 1/2 cup wet, so I'm not going to use 1/2 cup sugar. A heaping 1/2 cup. I like things sweet. All right, 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon. Measuring over here so I don't make a mistake and end up with too much salt. And 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Nice and level. 1, 2, 3. I like to use a wire whisk. I do the dry ingredients first and then the wet, because once the whisk is wet, the dry ingredients will start sticking to it. So dry first, then wet. You could use whole grain flour if you prefer, whole wheat flour, about half. So or you could do 1 cup of whole wheat and 2 cups of white. That's yummy. We do that often. Then we're going to put the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and make a well, like a little swimming pool in the middle of the dry ingredients. And then pour slowly, because you don't want a volcano. Pour slowly. Wet into the dry. All right. Muffins, probably you already know, are not the same as yeast bread. You don't want to overmix, to mix these too much, or they'll be kind of tough, rubbery, not very delicious. But you do want the dry ingredients to be well incorporated into the wet. So stir gently. If you're working with a brother or a sister or a mom or a dad, you could take turns now until the dry and the wet are all well incorporated. I can do a few, I want to do a few more swipes, but I'm going to put my chocolate chips in. These are optional. If you are trying to cut back on sugar, or if you have something else like craisins or raisins or something that you prefer, you can do that, or you could just make banana muffins. We like the banana chocolate combination in my family. So we go for the chocolate and choose moderation. We have one delicious. Okay, so that's pretty good. Pretty well incorporated. I'm going to make muffins today. As I already stated, you could choose to make bread if you please. And I have silicone muffin tin liners, cupcake liners. You could use paper, or if you don't have either of those, you could grease the inside with a spray oil or with something like butter. And you want each, this is 18, that's how many I'm going to make. I put water in the empty openings in the tins so that they don't burn. Unfortunately, if you leave some empty with nothing in it, it will cause these to be too burned on the inside. We don't want that. So you want the muffins to be about the same size so that they all cook about the same. If they're uneven, the small ones will be overcooked and the big ones will be undercooked. So your goal is to get them about the same size. Other things you can use for this job are a big spoon. An ice cream scoop works very well. Or there are actually cookie dough or melon ballers that you can use. I'm just going to use what I have because this way I won't have very much to wash when I'm done. I've already preheated my oven to 350 degrees. The oven jobs you would of course want an adult to do. And I've got 2 racks that are available. go. This will make your house smell yummy. Wash my hands. I'm just going to put these in the oven. And we will check on them in about 20 minutes. All right, let's see how the muffins turned out. Oh, good. These are just right. I'll get the other pan out in a minute. Those are finished. I'm going to leave them here in the pan to cool for a few minutes because it's too hot to touch, and then I'll take them out and put them on the drying rack. And I'll probably eat them while they're still warm. Enjoy making banana chocolate chip muffins at your house.